Today I'm joined by Tinnei to talk about her book, Everyday Life, as well as a range of subjects such as time, freedom, everyday scenes, simplification in art, and the process of publishing a book. Please enjoy. So today I'm joined by Tinnei. Is that how you pronounce it? Am I pronouncing it right?
Yes, Tinnei.
Yeah, to discuss about visual art and specifically, for instance, her book that she released. So we'll get back to that later. But for now, just to get things started, I'm just curious how you got started with art. Like, what was your journey when you got started? What you did, what subjects you drew, and what inspired you. So go
Mm.
ahead.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, my journey is actually, yeah, it's quite, um, it's been a while. Yeah, I started drawing when I was like little, and um, yeah, started from kindergarten. I kind of just chose drawing. That like the starting point is not that special, but I think I just kept doing it, and I kind of had a lot of free time when I was young, so just been doing it since young and like probably 20 plus years now. And yeah, mostly as a self-expression and starting to kind of evolve. So now we're here.
So uninterrupted, right? So you drew in kindergarten and you basically never stopped. Is that what I get from this?
Yeah, in kindergarten you can choose music. So like there's three classes that you can choose. I
Yeah,
think it's also like after school, like when your parents cannot pick you up, you can kind of like stay,
yeah.
and then you can choose either, like dance, music, or art. Chose art. Yeah,
That's
I
beautiful to
remember
hear.
thinking,
I asked this question because
"Hmm,
that's
yeah,
certainly not been my experience because I think like a lot of people I drew a lot when I was a kid, but then something kind of happened. I'm not really sure what it is. I guess other school obligation gets in the way, but you cannot just stop drawing. I mean, I just cannot stop drawing, and it's always
mm,
curious to meet people who basically didn't have that experience. I don't know if you've had that because you how to say, I know you've shared about like your nieces and nephews drawing. I don't know if you've seen that in other kids, like how they change in regards to art. I don't know if you've seen that. If you see what I mean, like maybe they just
yeah."
start treating it differently and it's not as enjoyable.
Oh, to stop, yeah, I thought about that. Um, I actually remember there were times where I stopped drawing. Um, so also the reason I kind of keep going for a while is because my family, um, my parents, like they work in the factory and they will have like extra paper. They would just like bring home papers from the office. It's just like, oh yeah, no, let's not waste that. And I end up having a lot of paper at home. So yeah, I end up drawing a lot on that. And then I kind of stopped and like not feeling inspired for a while, and then started again like later in elementary school because uh, I watched an anime that I really liked. That's how restarted.
Yeah. What was the anime?
Um, yeah. Um, it's called. I actually don't know the translation of that. Um, so it's a yeah, Japanese anime. It's about a girl who like is normal and then she became like a singer. It's
Yeah.
kind of like Hannah Montana. Yeah. So- yeah. Yeah, she has like double life and yeah, it was really good and was just kind of obsessed with that. And I keep drawing from anything I can find about the anime. So and then at that point like my whole style changed. Like everything I draw is in that style. And then I started to watch other anime and I started to try other styles. Mm.
So even in China, I assume you grew up in China, but even in China, Japanese anime is still a big thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Um, yeah, I'm also like yeah, China, Macau.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess our TV because we were like in kind of close to Japanese culture. So yeah, our TV has a lot of Japanese anime and is like translated in Cantonese.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Any
Mm.
notable inspirations as you grew up? Like I obviously know it's Ghibli, right? And I assume that was part of your childhood as well. But any notable inspirations that you remember in terms of art?
Notable inspiration, right? Well, you're pointing at the um, Spirited Away. I actually, it Spirited Away is not really my inspiration until way later, maybe in college. We do have Spirited Away on TV, um, like a lot. So they like keep replaying Spirited Away when I was a kid, and I never got to finish watching it until college because it got so scary.
That's true.
But that's a side note. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Doraemon is definitely my big inspiration. The Doraemon, um, cat, robot cat. Yeah, I I I watched that a lot, and then also Detective Conan. I actually I tried to watch all the episodes when I was young.
Are there like
Yeah,
a
I,
thousand of them?
yeah. Like I count them. I'm like, oh, I'm making progress in watching this.
This is a rabbit hole.
It's good. It's good. I learned so much about friendship and courage.
Oh yeah, can imagine.
Good.
Any, I think you mentioned kind of an anime phase. Any like notable I asked this because I also had like one of those
Mm,
phases with drawing where it's like I don't know if you had it too, that's why I'm asking. It's like where you kind of get obsessed with the idea of like drawing without references, just drawing from your own imagination. The problem is that I was really bad at it, so I think that was kind of a bad phase for me. But I don't know if you had something
mm.
similar in your own drawing journey.
Yeah, well, it's such a yeah, good question. Um, yeah, I remember when I started drawing it, it was like the teacher would, when I was like baby, they would be like, "This is the drawing we would do today," and everyone just copy the same thing.
Oh yeah, okay.
And
You had like actual like art. Yeah, that's interesting. Tell me more.
yeah, that's how it started. I was like, "Wow, like I didn't know that I can draw stuff like this." I guess like that um when we were young and trying to learn, usually it comes like the learning is like trying to learn all the techniques. Um, yeah, and then when I was watching anime, I was copying a lot. Um, I was like, I really want to get really good at copying. I think remember at some point I was like, this kind of copying is not working anymore. Like I cannot just keep looking and copying. So I need to like actually learn how to do it myself.
Yeah.
Have you? Yeah, experience that like, oh, I actually really want to like nail the proportion.
Yeah, yeah, of course,
Um,
of course. That's you learn this like very technical, like a vigorous way of drawing, and it's kind of stiff, but like it's also kind of rewarding, right? To like learn how to draw that way. I see what you mean. Yeah.
yes,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
I'm very
Mm?
curious about like how drawing is perceived in China. Well, I'm not very knowledgeable about Chinese culture, so just tell me like what it was like drawing like with an instructor, like
Mm.
how much like they paid attention to it, like and how respected art is in your culture, because like
Oh,
what I realized on the internet is that a lot of Chinese artists are really really good technically, so I just get the sense that like there must be like some cultural element where like they kind of respect it in a
mm.
sense, or am I wrong to it? Just I would like to know about your
Well,
experience.
yeah, I actually have a theory on that. Um, I think like Chinese culture, um, like everyone can be quite good because Chinese itself is a drawing, like
Oh.
is a perfect language. So we learn early on how to mimic like the shapes, and we have to like kind of yeah. When we write, we have to draw well. So that's part of it. And then I think people don't see like it's. I guess someone mentioned it also on Twitter that like drawing is kind of like a hobby that kind of just like fulfilling to oneself. is not really seen as like, oh, you have to make it work and you have to make it into an artist's way. And I guess in our culture, so I end up actually growing up with a lot of friends who are pretty good at drawings.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it's not like forced on them. Also, it's kind of just like naturally people are interested and they would like want to draw quite often.
Yeah, that sounds
Mm.
very healthy. How often would you draw like at class or like at school, for instance? Like because you mentioned like
Mm.
elementary school, there was kind of a drawing thing. Like how often would you do that?
Yeah. Um, question. I when I was young, um, yeah, I guess after the kindergarten, like after school thing, I don't really have any class. I guess we only have some like art class in between the week. So, um, yeah, there's no formal education for a while. And I think for me, it's quite often when I was young, because I was just drawing when I was bored. Like, um, yeah, there's just a lot of like waiting time in between, like waiting for my parents to like finish their food.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And yeah, like when I was waiting for my mom to like
So
finish talking to people, I would just like draw next to them. So yeah, I guess I draw quite often when I was young. I don't actually. I would like to learn more about like. There's like 3 or 4 friends who in school that are really good at drawing, but I wonder, yeah, what it's like for them. But we do like. I remember seeing these friends. They would also draw a lot, and their like notebooks are all filled. So yeah, quite often I think. What about you?
did you have any formal training in art?
Right. Um, Formal training. I I actually did have one formal training when I was in elementary school. I actually learned Chinese drawing. I,
So like
it was like
traditional landscapes or I think of something else?
mm, yes, yeah, traditional landscape
Oh,
with
really?
the
That's
color.
beautiful.
Yeah, we have an like after school choices, and I picked that. And yeah, I met a teacher who's really good, and he like make sure we have like variety of things to draw. Mm.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, go on.
I wanna hear more about how you draw too, if
It's a good
that's okay.
question. I definitely did not have formal training. I mean, I followed a bunch of tutorials and like somewhat they're not really courses, but like they're more structured than just a bunch of videos, right? But like I basically just started drawing again when I was like 18, like beginning of university. But then I kind of had like a big gap between when I was a kid and that. So I don't really draw, and I think yeah, it was one of those things where like I guess it was not really valued in my environment, so I just kind of stopped. But when I was a kid, I knew I really enjoyed drawing, so it's interesting that I just came back to
Yeah,
it. It
I see you.
feels like an itch that I can never put away.
That's good. Yeah, you remember the feeling,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
also you allow yourself to do it too. Is I know a lot of people who likes doing it, but then like picking it up is kind of like
yeah,
it takes a little bit of trying. So that's really good.
yeah. Like I had that phase where like I was only basically drawing like trying to draw like proportions and like structure, like those exercises where you draw like very vigorous shapes and so on.
Mm,
Like it was a bit soulless, but I'm kind of glad because it gave me good fundamentals. But I think
yeah.
in hindsight I would have not done it that way if I could do it, but obviously that's how it was.
Mm. Actually, I can share a bit more about that too. I remember I was kind of annoyed by drawing hands and drawing side faces. Like that two thing. 'Cause I was like,
What
I
type
want
of
to
faces
draw
did you say?
side. Mm?
What type of faces? I don't understand the word.
Mm, yeah, yeah. I guess at one point I was trying to draw more realistically.
Yeah,
So, like you know how the animes are all boxes.
yeah, yeah.
So I guess some of my art still remain that boxes feeling. Like it's like it's like a curve rectangle, right? All those
Yeah,
faces. But at some
yeah.
point, I was like, I need to actually learn how to draw people's face. So I remember one afternoon, I just set myself down like I need to draw the side faces a few times. Actually, I kind of like draw a lot of times, kind of to get the sense. And then after that one afternoon, I got really good, and I don't ever have to go back to it. And um, I also remember drawing side faces from the left versus the right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and yeah, you can also notice how like some some sides are easier to draw, and then once I got past that, it becomes like yeah, it becomes less of an issue. Yeah, I think there's some psychology thing to that.
Like,
Oh, also remember I like pull up the paper towards a mirror, and sometimes it's like, oh, it doesn't look good both way, so I draw it again so then it looks good both way. So some of like this proportion exercise and yeah. Yeah, I think it's like sometimes all this takes just like a few practice and then it will just be ingrained in your muscle. Mm,
what I like
yeah.
about the way you draw is that it strikes me as it's very simple, but it's also like really beautifully 3D. I don't know if you know how to describe it, but it's kind of like, it doesn't feel like super cliche anime, but it's also like kind of beautifully shaded. Like I don't know if you can see
Mm,
like the way you drew the little wizard. It's very well drawn.
thank you. Yeah. Um yeah, I think this is yeah, last year I tried to play with proportion a lot.
Yeah,
Like this past year I've yeah, you see on the right here the lady just this is
yeah,
kind of just practice. And sometimes I would take one practice and then like evolve it. Um and then see if I can exaggerate on
yeah.
like
That's
different points.
that's such a beautiful exercise.
Mm,
That's definitely one of the notions that like I think it's really core about learning, and I'm kind of shocked that I never had anyone teach me that about like learning anything. But it's super huge, right? Like
mm,
emphasizing one aspect and trying to keep something balanced.
yeah, yeah, that brings so much joy just to like see how things can look different by tweaking a little bit of different things. Um, yeah, regarding proportion, I that is also coming from like a breakthrough where I look at all the not like at this point not a Japanese anime where I was kind of like interested in how people draw different styles, and so I remember at one point I was like looking at Charlie Brown, like the Snoopy,
Yeah, yeah.
right? B character, how Charlie Brown, like Charlie, his head is so big, and his body is basically just um like proportional to his head. And I tried to draw that. I was like, wow, that is such a big difference. Like it gives you
Yeah,
yeah, it makes it so much more comedic and like cute. So like a lot of this proportional stuff you really have to try to see how you feel. And it's also yeah, brings so much joy to just to experiment with that in the art. Mm.
yeah.
So
So obviously I did not take like your entire history of June. I think this is like 2011. This is 2023, obviously, because of the. I think this is like at
mm,
most 2022, but like I assume this is digital, right? If you can see my screen, the
mhm,
the anime pieces. Uh,
yes,
when would you say you started digital, and like how did it feel at first?
right, yeah, yeah. I think this is 2019 almost.
Oh, actually, okay.
I tried. This is from Inktober. Uh, it was like 2 years I tried
Oh
Inktober.
yeah, October 18. Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, 18, yes. Yeah, by then I already started doing it digitally. Before then, actually, yeah, in middle school, I remember how me and my friend got started on SAI or something. Like, there's a Japanese drawing program. It's like super simple. Oh no, SAI is more complex. And then there's another program that is very simple, just like pen and color. And then we got a tablet Um, oh yeah, at some point, so my other friends would have tablet already, and they were like, "Tinnei, you need to get on tablet." So when I was, yeah, probably like 15, and then they crowdsourced a tablet for me what for my birthday. So that's how I started the
Nice.
drawing. Yeah, basically, pre I got peer pressured into level upping.
How did it feel, the digital feel compared to well, your usual is I'm actually not sure what your usual is. You're usually doing pencils and watercolor. I think. I don't know if that was what you did in the beginning, but
Oh
how did it feel, the digital switch?
yeah. Oh, I used to just do pencil on whatever paper. And then when I got onto digital, I started using color. Um, yeah, I should have sent you some of my older stuff. I You can see the evolution. Um, but yeah, the digital ones when I started, it was a lot of like um playing with colors because I never really tried colors. Um, and then I remember it was quite difficult at first to well, but back then it was like tablet on screen. So I have to like when I draw, I cannot see what I'm drawing. I have to look
Oh,
up at
that
the
yeah, that
screen.
I could never do that.
Yeah, it was a bit tough, and it took me a while to practice. Uh, and yeah, actually, so I remember drawing digitally really helped me practice the construction, like the layout of the piece,
Yep.
composition. Yeah, because you can move things around. So I by then I learned a lot about composition. Um, and then I just yeah keep doing digital from then on. This is like easy to save and yeah easy to experiment with things.
Yep.
Hmm.
As far as I know, you did your book in watercolor, right? I mean, if I unless I'm really bad at seeing, let me see. We're gonna get to it later, but the art in your book is
Yeah.
done in watercolor, right? Like this one, for instance.
Yes. Well, yeah. So the watercolor thing, I'm not very good at watercolor until probably last year. I tried watercolor in the past, and I also tried like other medium like acrylic and oil paint when I was younger, and I've never got really good at um drawing physically because it like one is also I don't have all the storage. I tried like doing it once in a while, but um because I always have digital, so I always go back to digital. But the like water painting, the watercolor stuff you saw earlier, those are like me like explicitly trying to practice because I was like I'm not good at that, so I want to practice. Um, but yeah, the book is actually digital, but
Oh, really?
I try really hard to exactly. I try really hard to make sure that it kind of look real, because you lose so much of the texture,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
exactly. So the texture is what really makes art like look great. I think like art, like texture is another dimension of variation you can do. Like you can do variations on lines, like
Yeah,
some of them.
I've not learned that yet. My digital art looks too smooth. I don't like it. I prefer when there's some roughness to it.
Yeah, I noticed you've been trying on lines, right? Different kind of lines to do
Yeah,
shadings and stuff.
I'm still a line person. I haven't figured out the shapes yet. I haven't figured out colors yet.
Hmm. Yeah, but lines so much like you can do a lot of tricks with that. It's good to be creative with the lines also.
Yeah, I've not moved on because I still feel very frustrated by my lack of ability. Like I don't want to move into other things, unless I feel like I'm good enough
Yeah,
with
yeah.
lines.
Right. It's good to right, like curate your learning experience one thing at a time.
Yeah. Uh, could you just describe just the process of making a book? Like first of all, like how did it start? Like as an inspiration? Like what did you want to? sort of bring out into the world. And I guess could you just describe what the book is about? Though? Because obviously people might not know what it is.
Mm-mm-mm. Right. So Everyday Life, it's an existential children's book about a girl's journey, um, growing up and finding meanings um, in the stream of time. So that's kind of the gist.
Yeah,
And it's a yeah picture book, fully illustrated, 50-page, minimal reading. So it's kind of like an art experience also.
yeah. And
Mm.
the viewers can see it on the screen, but like there's like little dots that pan across the pages, and I guess they represent a sort of passage of time, if I understand correctly. I read it.
Yes.
It was a beautiful story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Passage of time. I try to use like a central theme throughout the book, and this book is about time.
Yeah, and it's also the passage of
Mm.
time on a fixed image, right? That's kind of a it's always an interesting contrast. I think you played with that very
Mm,
beautifully in the comic, well, the book, I guess.
yes. Yeah. I try to do the dots. Like the dot has a meaning to it. Depends on what happens on the page.
Yeah,
So yeah, spoiler, but it's not yeah, not that much. It's just yeah, just like to have a coherent theme, and I think I kind of gave myself that prompt to think about, and yeah, it being quite nice
yeah. And the other theme
just
is
to think about. Yeah.
and the other theme is the bird, of course. Was there any particular inspiration for the general themes, like time, bird, and all of that?
Yeah. So the time thing, it actually is the very first thing I thought of, and like it happened back in 2022. So that's like 3 years ago, and I yeah. So it started with the time thing. I was like, I really want to make a book about time, and that's how it started. So I don't even have the story yet, but time was there. So that's about the time. So a lot of the book stories are like is kind of like evolved thinking for myself about time and like how to be relaxed about it. Um, and then the bird. So you can see I've tried I've drawn some birds throughout
Yeah,
my art.
this is not from the comic,
Oh
but
yeah,
this is one I liked still.
yeah. The watched bird watcher. Um, yeah. So in the book, that bird is a wind-up bird, and yeah, I like the motif about bird because like bird is symbolizes freedom.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's like a interesting contrast to time because like time just keep going, right? And like what would you choose to do with your time?
All
And
right. Like you could feel shackled by time, or you could feel empowered by time. That kind of thing.
exactly, yes, like exactly. So that's the central tension in the book also. Like um should you pay attention to time taking or can you like enjoy it? Um so the bird is kind of like a, an extra element that I added in, and I don't think people would see that at first, but then I just like because that's part of the thinking that I gone through when I was drawing, when I was working on it. So I was like, I like the concept of wind up bird already, like for a while, because it actually came from Murakami's Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. Have you read Wind-Up Bird Chronicle?
No, could you describe it?
Yes, yeah, I can tell you. And yeah, highly recommend. So the book, it's about a guy, a man, who's like wander through life and things just happen to him. It's like a whole journey, right? Like he went through bizarre things and the whole book. And Wind-Up Bird is never mentioned in the book. I was like, I remember finishing that book. I was like, why is it called Wind-Up Bird Chronicle? And then and I searched online, and I learned that okay, it's actually called wind up bird because a bird can fly and free, right? but then a wind-up bird can only move when someone wind it up.
Oh,
Hmm. So wind-up bird is the contrast to freedom.
yeah. Yeah, I see what
So
you mean.
in the
Yeah,
book, you can see that. Yeah.
yeah. I didn't pay attention
Hmm.
to that. The two birds contrast actually. Yeah.
Yeah. In the book, there's like the free bird, and there's also the wind-up bird.
Yeah.
Mm.
What I like about your drawings, like your well, actually the book is called Everyday Life. That's actually good. I just really like collecting your drawings and like your emphasis on like uh portraying everyday scenes. I guess in a really beautiful manner. Like you can see like the glass and all the rendering or the
Mm.
sunlight. It's really beautiful. Uh, have you had any like I don't know inspiration or just appreciation more for like everyday scenes because of your art? Do you think?
Mm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I started this whole daily drawing, so the paper version, the paper art, daily drawings, and I started it because I need to have something to practice every day. Because I was like, I don't want to just work on my book, because then I kind of go crazy. I just
Yeah,
I think about the story all the time, so I kind of break it out with trying to practice drawing other things, and also it will help too, because every time I draw something different, I can like think about how can I present that. Um, so yeah, I started this one. This the process behind picking is that I just go through my photo that day, and then I see like, oh, there's a picture I really like, and I just try to draw them. Sometimes I give myself constraints, so sometimes I'm like, I have to use three colors, or like I have to use pencil only.
yeah.
So yeah, this one is colors, yeah. Um, that one, the background practice
This one?
is
Yeah.
me sourcing. At that point, I was like, I got to a point where I have to draw the background for the book. So I end up picking like I need to draw some background, like playground floor. I need to draw uh tree shadows. So I give myself some prompts, and then I look at my phone. I just pick pictures that is relevant, and I try to use like yeah, pencil to make sure I can present that.
Did you meet any like specific challenges during the making of the book? And first of all, how long did it take to make? Like when did you start and like when you
Mm.
got finished?
Yeah, did that full time for 10 months. So I started way before then. I was like working, and
Yeah.
yeah, I started that maybe like um 2023, early 2023. And at that point I already know that it can be a story. And so at that time I have the whole storyboard and everything. I was just like, I need to fill this out. I need to fill out the whole story. And then by the end of that year, I was like, okay, the story is kind of strong. So um, then I let myself um, like go full time for a while. I at first I thought I can do it in 6 months, but end up being quite long. Oh my god, yeah, it's so stressful because I was like, I was already working on it, right? So I was like, I definitely need to finish this. It will be so sad if I don't finish this and like go back to a job. So I let myself finish it. Um, yeah, the overestimation is real because um, there's just so much I don't know.
Oh yeah, I had the same experience.
Yeah, like when I draw all the so it started with black and white also. Like everything is just frames. And then I kind of like just lead by a hunch. Like the story is great, like it's gonna be something. And I fill out all the storyboard, and I realize, okay, I need to actually color them now. And then okay, I actually need to have background now. So it end up adding more time to finish it.
Oh yeah, time estimation is really
Mm.
hard for me as well. there was also the basic fact that I realized that I just don't know how to. I don't even know what a lot of things look like. Like I have to spend so much time just not doing research, but just basic practice and basic
Yeah.
just basic knowledge and research. Right? Like it's kind of funny.
Yeah. I I saw some of your work and I can see that you expanded into like drawing backgrounds and stuff. And yeah, it gets trippy when I started to draw all the details and backgrounds. I'm like, oh, actually have no idea what um what goes into something. Like for example, this one that you're looking at, right? Like what goes into a building? Like
Oh
um
yeah.
oh yeah, like
It's
how
wait.
can I make sure it
Don't
actually
don't you work
people
in
can see the
architecture?
yes. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I did.
That's
I actually
crazy.
did 2 years in architecture.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. So I was working in architecture when I was working on this book
it's
too. But also, yeah, I never really got to draw the details in
yeah. I see what
architecture.
you
I was
mean. Yeah.
just like, yeah,
I
I
remember there
was
was
like
this.
studying a
I'm just
hmm?
gonna add something. I remember there was this
Yeah, yeah.
anecdote about like cyclists being asked to draw a bicycle. So like professional cyclists, so people who work with a bicycle all the time, the day-to-day basis, and they actually could not draw a bicycle from like just the memory. It was kind of interesting of an anecdote. I think it kind of spoke to me about like the difficulty of actually like drawing things, even when you know them. Actually, like just being able to draw them is actually very confronting.
Mm,
How little you know them in details, because like yeah, it's kind of crazy.
yeah, yeah. It's fun. Yes, it's like it's asking you to observe so much more. Like this one, the background with all the so I also it asks, like it tells you so much more about like the variation of things and like what makes something something.
Yeah,
Like, yeah. Um I a lot of the practice art, the reason the practice art is quite nice for me at the time is because I really um just got to like let myself practice on random set of things and then um it also allowed me to like kind of be free and pick whatever. So like yeah, I guess yeah, this one with the stars, like trying to think about dimension is interesting and sort of like sometimes I have this like idea in my head and when I execute it I realize okay, I actually don't know much, so I end up looking for reference and then I end up like kind of challenging myself to think in that dimension. It's like when we draw, like we kind of have to immerse ourselves into that, and then have to ask like what makes it possible, like how what kind of lines should I use to make it representative to the idea I have.
yeah,
Yeah, actually, maybe it would be interesting for us to talk about too. That a lot of times we have like ideas in our head, and when we draw, like it end up not being that because like as we draw we kind of like have new thoughts, so yeah, usually it comes as a surprise at the end.
yeah.
But yeah, what do you think?
Uh, it's very true. Like I think typically I'm kind of bad at like holding onto a goal way too tightly. I noticed that my sketches are often a lot better than the drawing that follows. Like the sketches have a lot more energy,
Mm,
and then the drawing kind of feels flat. That's kind of one of my
mm.
common. I don't know if it's a problem. I think it's quite common in general, but it's a bit disappointing. That's for sure.
Yeah, but also because you have developed an eye for the essence.
Yeah, exactly. And when you draw it the second time, it's like more. It's not the same type of drawing, I guess. Like the first time it
Mm.
feels more free, and the second time it feels more like following a set of directions.
Oh yeah, definitely. Actually, for the book that um I drew, like uh all the scenes, all the pages, they probably have been drawn like 3 to 4 times,
Oh yeah,
and I had that. Yeah, because a lot of times they're in paper, and then I have to transfer it onto a digital plane, and then also at one point I realized everything is low resolution, so I have to draw it again. And then also at some point I realized that all the lines are not the same weight.
Oh yeah, I had that
Like,
as well.
yeah, exactly. Like small things like this. I was like, oh fuck, I have to draw again. Um, and like yeah, it's brutal, but um, getting that getting into that mindset helps, I think. Like remembering why that page exists. Remember like why you draw this and then kind of get back to that emotion. It's kind of trippy, but it's true. Like if you get to that emotion again, like you can draw again. And usually it some like when it's well, usually it can get better than the original.
Do you have any insights about like the self-publishing process? Because I assume it's self-published, right? Because I looked around that.
Yes. Yeah. Uh insights, I do have insights. Um yeah, at first I thought I would work with a publisher. I actually did try a few publisher. I think I just submitted to like maybe 10 publishers and at different phases of the piece. Like I did that with like just the storyboard, and then I did that with like maybe 10 pages done, and like I heard back like maybe from two of them that asked more for more detail, and then later on they'll say, oh, actually our market is for more like younger children, or our market is for more like spiritual. um
Yeah.
so yeah, like so I tried it, and then I realized, okay, I don't know if I can find that fit now. And I end up wanting to just focus on making the like finishing the book. So I look into self-publishing, and turns out there's a lot of self-publishing tools online. I can just upload that whole PDF, and people like those services can just print it for you. So um yeah, after that research I realized it's actually easier, and um yeah, and then I just like put that aside and finish the drawing and get into that after. But yeah, also yeah, I learned more about publishing from just talking to bookstores. I remember like while I was drawing the book, and when I go outside, I usually just go to bookstores just to see um if I can ask people questions, and then sometimes I go to bookstores to check out the publishers, and then I will see what their process is. So a lot of the research is done on in the bookstores, and yeah, it's actually not surprising to find out that a lot of people self-publish too.
Yeah,
To start with.
the publisher constraints definitely seem not very enjoyable to work with.
Yeah, yeah. The good thing about having publisher is that you can just leave the distribution to them.
For sure.
So yeah, so that's the thing that I lost with self-publishing. Like I end up having to go to the bookstore by like myself, and trying to get to people's hand. But that's also a really good experience too, just to talk to bookstores and sell my book. And yeah, I think like good and bad trade-off. Like I cannot go to all the bookstores in the world, so the distribution is not that great. But yeah, it's the first book is more about the learning process, anyways. Mm.
I like that mindset for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There is there is one thing, I don't know if I have the time for that. Okay, I'm just going to show it. So whenever I invite someone, I kind of try to draw like them. Often I can't say it looks very good, honestly, most of the times. But I just want to like get a comparison, right, between how I would draw kind of like them and how they would draw. I think the one I took was this one as an inspiration. I'm not sure what you tried to draw, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what this one is supposed to be. I interpret it as like the the thing to blow bubbles that children use. I
Ooh,
interpreted that as, I'm not sure if that was that was in your mind, but
yeah,
was that
interesting.
go ahead.
I like that. Oh yeah, I can see that now you said that.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, this one is just I was hanging out with a friend, and they have like this kind of thing in their pencil. holder. So just holding it, I was like, wow, this is kind of like a staff.
What is it then? What does it do?
It's just like a pencil that I was playing
Oh,
with,
okay,
and I thought it was quite cool. So I went back home and I drew this.
yeah. So I drew like a sort of witch blowing bubbles. The art is a bit it's a bit different, but
Oh,
if you can see.
oh, damn! I didn't know that because yeah, okay, amazing. I didn't see this on Twitter, I guess, but I remember seeing this on the board. I was like, "Ooh, what's that?" Of course, that's worse because it's lined.
Yeah. It's interesting to make the comparisons because I think there's a lot of decisions you make that I appreciate more now because like the way you like shade in is not like completely in line. I think that's actually much more interesting than what I did because what I do is a bit boring. I don't know. I'm not very. I didn't pay attention to that kind of stuff up until now, but you know what I mean? Like with the dot, like
Yeah.
the blobs of colors, like they're more like
Hmm.
they create a better effect. I think.
Um. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. I thought about that too. I thought about how I can share some of the art later to you too, with messages. But
Yeah.
yeah, I have variation. Like I remember drawings. Um. Like before I can become more minimal and simple, I have drawings that are completely lined. Like this kind of this girl, I probably like drew her subconsciously many times,
Yeah. That
and it
makes
got
sense.
into a point where it's easy. Yeah, it got to a point where it's easy to draw her. So a lot of the lines got simplified, because like as you draw something often, you learn how to um represent it in the most simple way, like the all the essence that you pick for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's yeah, like a good drawing shows you the process throughout time with like seeing what is chosen and what's not. Um, and yeah, I had like a drawing of trees also. I want to talk about that too. It takes so long for me to evolve the trees. I had one point I one like there was a while where I thought, wow, trees are so hard to draw because like there's no way I'm gonna draw all the leaves.
Yeah, it's very different, right? How to draw like organic stuff versus very like defined stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I look at all these masters, right? Like in the ancient paintings, when they draw trees, they don't draw leaves. They draw shadows.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very interesting shift in just seeing it.
Exactly, yeah, like what you did here too. So there's a lot of ways to represent something, and yeah, I guess like the more I repeat something, I realize okay, I can actually like represent it in different ways, maybe with shadow, maybe with light. Yes.
Another thing I noticed is like the way your lines is a lot more like loose, but in a good way. Right? I'm not saying it's like gosh, I think it's much
Mm,
more stylistic. But I kind of just did the outline thing once again. It's a bit flat.
mm,
I would like to try a bit of variation. I think that's what I'm going to try to
yeah.
like flesh out some things. Let me see if I can get a better comparison.
The I realize yeah, some of the lines I start to omit that
Yeah, I
because
think that's something I don't do enough, but
yeah, you can try that definitely.
yeah,
But also maybe it would be good to give yourself a time constraint. Because I was so a lot of this art I want to draw it quickly. It's just like daily practice. Um, like if you look at my book, actually everything is lined.
yeah,
But I guess
exactly.
this one is a lot more like yeah
Let me
stylized.
see. Let me take a look. Yeah, I could have put more pictures on the
Yeah.
book, but I thought it just felt wrong to just put something paid into for stuff for Virat. But I took these images from Twitter because someone else took them.
Oh yes, Chris took it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Yeah. And uh yeah, this is a good page too. I like to see what people choose to show. Yeah, it's everything is lined in this
yeah.
one.
And the other one is. towards the end. I won't spoil it,
Yeah.
but
See- Yeah. Oh, right. So there's some style choices that I use that I picked, and then I tried to make it consistent throughout the pages. For example, like the shadows are not lined. The shadows are just color blocks.
yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Mm. Yeah.
And also, so you
There's a
often
lot of
don't draw the eyes,
choices.
right? Like you.
Ooh.
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I spent a day thinking about the eyes. I draw like various eyes on her, and I didn't like any of them. So I end up just
that's, a,
mad.
that's a good choice.
Yeah, I like all of this look ridiculous. Like she should not have eyes. Um, but also subconsciously, I think it's good to not have eyes because then you can guess what she may be thinking.
Yeah, that's true actually.
Oh,
It actually feel quite expressive even though you cannot see her eyes. It's interesting. Like I feel like I've seen a lot of animes
mhm.
where like the eyes feel a bit cliche or like I don't know what to call it, but like it's like like the quality of like a good actor is like subtlety, but it feels like a lot of the
Mm,
times people draw kind of the opposite of subtlety. It's a bit too on the nose.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, the quality of a good actor is up to you. I feel that. Yeah, I guess yeah, leaving the eyes open help people put themselves into it. Is yeah, I want the book to be quite immersive. And I don't like even though the characters very much that look like me, I want I want people to when they read that they can put themselves into it. 'Cause I want to make sure the experience is quite universal. Um yeah,
Have you ever
that's
read Goodnight Pun Pun? I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's that manga where like the main character is drawn as a bird.
oh yeah. Hmm. I actually know people have told me that that one of the bird looks like them.
Yeah, I had that in mind when I was reading it.
It's kind of psychotic, isn't it? That book, that anime.
I haven't read it, but I know it's first of all not very cheerful, but yeah, I guess. How did you describe it?
Psychotic.
Oh, maybe I don't know. It's definitely not cheerful from what I've seen, but I haven't read it.
I have not read it too, but I remember people showing me that, and people were like, "Oh yeah, this is about a guy who lost it, and like they see themselves as a bird, and they like this girl." Hmm. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I like that people are reminded of it. I actually there's a few things that the book reminds people of that I forgot it exists, but maybe it happened subconsciously. Like people said, this page looks like Hugo, the movie.
Which book of
Um,
his?
like this. So oh, there's a movie Hugo, which is about
Oh,
a
okay.
boy.
I was thinking of
Right.
Victor Hugo.
Oh yeah. Yes. But I think Hugo is not by Victor Hugo.
No, definitely not. What is it about?
Okay, okay. Yes. The movie Hugo, it's about a boy who was like he got put in a position to manage the old clock tower,
Oh,
and yeah, and then he have to fix something. Um, like there's always like a big scene of him like being in the clock tower and having to fix things and go into um like a adventure. Yeah. So people thought about that, and then I remember watching that when I was young, but then like now I see it again. It actually makes sense that like how that movie actually is quite relevant to the book also. So it's good. It's kind of branches out into different things, different motifs, different things. Mm.
that's an interesting aspect of time. I didn't even think about while you were talking about it. It's like how, sometimes you feel like you're pushed by time, but sometimes you feel like you have to push time, that kind of thing where like you feel like you have to actively
Mm.
make things happen, whereas sometimes you can just let things arise, it's an interesting contrast with the mechanical time versus
Mm.
the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes, yeah, it is really about everyday life, I guess. Like sometimes you want to, when you pay attention to time, it kind of goes slow. But then when you don't pay attention, it goes fast. And yeah, a lot of like agency kind of conversation can happen there too. Yeah. I guess yeah, time is a good topic, right? It's
Yeah,
fun.
this is a good topic.
Yeah. Also plug your book. It's also about a girl asking questions.
Yeah. Let me think if it's about time specific. Kind of, I guess. It's about growing up, but I don't think it's specifically about time. It's more about society, really.
Yeah.
But
Society.
it's
We can
it's
talk
a bit
about
too
time at
early
some point.
to talk about it. I haven't written much of it. Like haven't released much of it.
Yes. It will be there. It will come out. And we'll talk about it then. Yes.
Is there?
Vegetables.
Go ahead. What do you say?
Oh, no, I'm just pointing out that you're looking at vegetables here.
Very beautifully drawn.
Mm,
Is there anything like
yes.
any subject you felt wasn't mentioned you would like to mention?
Mm, well,
Going to look at the
I
piece.
really enjoyed this chat.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels nice to talk about all this, like passing thoughts that we may have when we draw, and it's good to talk about them out loud.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's one thing I'm interested in is like kind of any recurrent themes in what you draw. Like there are a few I see which is like the one is like with the adventure sense of adventure, like the magicians and the archers. I didn't There are a lot of others that
Mm.
you draw like this, but I didn't take them. And the other theme I see is like light, of course. Like this one's clearly
Yeah.
about lights. This one,
Ooh.
yeah. And are there any recurrent themes you go over and over again? And then recently you've kind of drawn a lot of vegetables. I didn't take all of them, but there were a lot of them. Are there any recurrent themes you see yourself circling
Mhm.
around?
Yeah, good question. Yes. Um, the recurring themes are usually thoughts that I keep coming back to. So we can see like how I'm thinking, what I'm thinking that day. Um, the girl with the archer, I actually there was like a really old piece from maybe a few years ago, and I was thinking about how like I used to have no weapons with the characters, but I started to have weapons because I thought about how a lot of times we have to protect ourselves.
Oh,
Yeah. So I guess like it adds to the character. But all of this is just exploration, right? It doesn't really end up in a story yet. But I think about that a lot. Like what like different things represent. So once I found something that's really interesting to talk about, then I keep drawing them. Yeah. I like the witch idea. I like that there's magic in the girl. Like yeah, that's like a whole topic, I guess. Like I like to think about how like there's like magic in everyone and
yeah,
how we can yeah, some of us carry that and some of us doesn't and like she kind of like outgoingly like represent herself with magic. So yeah, I think a lot of these are like honestly they're just like thought experiments that got externalized into pieces.
what do you mean by
Mm.
thought experiments?
Yeah, like how I think about certain things in the world. Mm. Like um this characters represent a bit of things I think about girlhood. There's also a boyhood thing that I was thinking too.
Oh, I
Um,
see.
yeah,
I don't think there is anything
I've
else
been thinking
connected though.
about that a lot. Yeah, probably not here. Yeah, I think I kind of like it wasn't a recurring thing because I haven't really thought enough about it. But girlhood is just a personal experience. I think a lot of my um times growing up is me trying to like um please people.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of
Some
sense.
psychological stuff. Yeah, like I I would rather do things for people or like help them out and then end up sometimes like not knowing how to protect myself. So I started to draw a girl that looks like a Robin Hood, but then she also protect herself. So it's some thought experiment, like how I think about also yeah, how I think about myself and then it got externalized into the world. Like this one is oh this piece I this is also some of my thoughts. Like I the piece yeah, I actually I stopped drawing publicly for 3 years. Like back in yeah, I guess COVID time and earlier. And I think I took a lot of time to look into my own shadow. So that's how this piece comes out. When I actually start to share
Oh,
something,
makes sense.
this is the first thing I share. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of the art, if it has a girl in it, usually it's some thought about some like evolving thought that I have about myself, my identity and stuff. And yeah, it's kind of vulnerable to share, but sometimes I guess it's good to put it out there to see if anyone really. But also, I've started to branch out to make sure I don't draw myself. So that's why I try to put yeah, all the backgrounds and yeah, it's good to think about other people too. So
Yeah, I feel like I'm
that's
the opposite,
right.
where I never draw myself.
Yeah, I like that you chose a girl to draw. Yeah, I wonder why.
Oh, it's because of the name, but I guess I didn't really have any deep reason for that.
Yeah, is it more interesting to think of a character and say and think what they would say?
Yeah, I do think I prefer imagining someone else's character because obviously I'm imagining a child growing up to society, so like I prefer if it's like a different person than me, like how would they
Mm,
interpret various things? Like, a lot of things don't make sense to children, but then they're kind of forced to go through it anyway. I just prefer having
right.
someone who's different from me.
Yeah, I like that. I like that standpoint. Right, because for you, the art is more about expression.
Yeah, expression, but like I don't really like self-expression. I prefer something like more universal, I guess. I don't really have a problem with
Yeah, like
self-expression, but
idea. Right, right, right. Like you want to share ideas and thoughts.
yeah, or like
Yeah.
recurring patterns.
Hmm. Recurring patterns. Yeah. I think yeah, a lot of my pieces are more for like soothing myself sometimes, or like trying to make sense of things. When I started like sharing it online, usually it's like, oh, I learned this one thing. I want to share that with you guys. Like I learned to say no, or yeah, I learned that um uh I learned that we have to love ourselves. And then I started to like draw something that represent that, and usually it comes like it has a girl that kind of look like me. Yeah,
I like that the
I'm trying
shadow
to.
is part of a very colorful painting. It's like
Mm,
I like that because usually when people think of like shadow, they think it's like always dark and stuff. But actually, it's interesting to note that we can also repress our joy and our creativity. Like it's something I've seen a lot in people. It's not just the painful stuff we repress.
yeah, I guess yeah, I represent having a world in our life, in our inner world. Like, yeah, there's a lot of complexity, right? Like, even with shadows, it comes from some sort of hope.
Yeah,
Mm, yeah, yeah, symbols are great. I like to think about symbols. And also, I like to like let people interpret it too. Different symbols, what that would mean to them. Yeah, this one also is about fixing oneself. This one, um, I think there's some pieces that I have names and some pieces that doesn't have names. But this one I call it tuning, self-tuning.
oh, I like that.
Mm.
Did you actually look up the
Yeah.
mechanisms of a clock, by the way, or because it actually
Mm.
looks fairly realistic to me, but maybe I'm just completely ignorant.
Mm. Actually, this one is based on my understanding. This one is not completely from that. But the clock in the book is actually a real it was taken from a real mechanical
Oh, that's cool.
clock. Yeah. When I have to draw that scene, I actually let myself study a few clocks. So then uh yeah, there's some accuracy. Because that when I was working on the book, I thought how it will last for a while. Like books are kind of like physical thing, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
if I can make it real, yeah, if I can make it accurate, I will try to make it accurate as much as possible. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Any concluding remark? I really enjoyed the conversation, by the way, so thank you for your time.
thank you too. Yeah, is it getting late over there? See,
It's not too bad. I'm just 9, 7 p.m.
yeah,
probably.
9:40. Mm. Yeah, thanks for chatting. Uh, I hope we can chat again at some point
Yeah,
and perhaps yeah, talk about your art. It's been fun to talk about art. It's nice to add it out and discuss in detail. It's nice. It feels validating and fulfilling and happy.
I'm glad to hear that.
That's good.
Uh, Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.